She took a hard fall off there. Boy, gosh, I hope she's okay.
Welcome in. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It's Jason Puckett with you. Puck. All right. Pucksports.com. Of course, big thanks if you're watching on YouTube. On the YouTube page via pucksports.com or just right there on YouTube. Search Puck Sports. If you're listening, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you find your podcast, thank you so much for checking in. We do it every single day. Release it at 10 a.m., the DPD, the Daily Puck Drop. We go over the top stories of the previous night. We look ahead to the day in the world of sports, April 18th. I almost said 17th. I am all off this week. I'm off by a day. Anybody else ever get that? Off by a day all week long. All right. I thought yesterday was Thursday and it was Wednesday. Now I think Thursday now is Wednesday. It's Thursday, April 18th. Mariners got the off day today as they travel to Colorado after finishing off a sweep there of the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll talk about the Mariners coming up first. We're going to talk about Mike Macdonald cleaning house. Literally, we're going to talk about the Trevor Bauer situation. We'll quickly touch on the WNBA, this fake outrage salary story, a note on Steve Ballmer, and then a note out of the NBA with a former, let's call him, local legend in the NBA who has now been banned for life. We're going to cover all of that today on the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD, every day, 10 a.m., released here at pucksports.com, YouTube, and then again, wherever you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify, those are the two heavyweights. But some of you probably use Amazon Music as a good one. Also, YouTube Music has a platform now as well. The Mariners, we did a live post-game show yesterday with Brad Adam, Root Sports, brought to you by John Howie Steak. That was great, live from the ballpark. I know Brad's audio was a little low. We're still working on that. We'll get that boosted up there for Brad. But we'll try to do that probably most days in which there's a day game like that. So when there is a day game, we kind of like to split it up because Wednesdays are Divish and Brad Adam. We'll try to get one of them on in the morning to quickly kind of give you, the news and notes from the previous night, and then also preview what's coming up later in that game for a day game, and then the other one, whether it's Divish or Brad, will join us up post game, and we'll do those live there at pucksports.com, YouTube, also on X. Just search Puck 2040 on X. All right. If you're not following me, please follow. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a bunch of comments below. If you're listening on Apple and Spotify, Amazon, all that kind of stuff, please subscribe, like, and all that stuff. Leave comments, especially on the Apple podcast. It helps us out, helps us get a gauge, helps me get a gauge. Who's listening, what you like, maybe what you don't like. And I take it all of the feedback. I respond to most everybody that leaves me an email, which you can do up on the website, above my left shoulder, above my right shoulder, if you're watching, puck at pucksports.com. I'll repeat that, puck at pucksports.com. Leave me some feedback. Guess you want to see, hear, things you don't want to hear or see, feedback on just anything, the sound quality, all of it. Work in progress. And the best feedback I can get is from you guys, because you are the ones that are supporting this, right? I'm doing this for you guys. So I want to make it right for you. And if you don't agree with something I said, leave a comment there at pucksports.com. Mariners, big series for them. Reds are a better team than I think people realize. I mean, I think they're a good team, and I know some want to kind of poo-poo that series, but they started finally playing baseball that they're capable of. I don't know if this is going to turn their season around and all of a sudden they're going to become, this juggernaut. I think what's helping the Mariners is evident, and we touched on it yesterday, I think pregame with Divish, and then when we did our postgame show live, Puck's best baseball postgame show, huh? How about that one? With Brad from the field, which you could watch again on X and YouTube, is no one in their division is pulling away, right? The Rangers aren't pulling away. The Astros are a disaster. The Angels are there. Some would say maybe a little bit of surprise where the Angels are at, but no one in the division has separated themselves. So it's not like, well, the M's are playing better than the record indicates. It's just that in the beginning portion of the season, they didn't bury themselves. And then Rangers didn't pull away. The Astros have been a problem, for just themselves. And so because they haven't played well, and their record really, in that first stretch of the season didn't really indicate how poorly they were playing, because they were playing worse than their record. But they swept the Reds. But most importantly, I think in that Red series was their pitching now feels like it's turned the corner, their starters. They're starting to get contributions from everyone. Guys at the top of the order are starting to deliver finally. Julio, JP to a degree. We saw Garver now with his first home run there of the season. Polanco is walking, at least getting on base. He's got, a couple, 3 home runs there on the season. They're doing things in which, even if you weren't sold completely in the offseason what they did, I mean, I wasn't, and still not. They made these acquisitions because ownership told them, we're not giving you any money, so make something happen. And I do think for the constraints they were under, they've done the best job to try and put a team out there. It's not the team that I like, that many of you like, but I think for the constraints that they were under from that front office, I think they did the best. And at times in this series against the Reds, it paid off. I mean, they still do have a game in which they won and they struck out, was it 15 times? So their issues have not been solved with the strikeouts and their approach at the plate, but they did look better. And I think a lot of that, of them performing better on the field, has to do with their superstar that plays out in center field. He had the great defensive game there on, what was that, Tuesday, I believe. That was the game that we were at, that I think maybe sparked him a little bit, got him going a little bit offensively. And that's the thing I like the most about Julio, is that Julio's problems at the plate offensively have not in any way, shape, or form translated at all defensively. And if you and listening and watching, you've watched baseball for so long, right? How many times have you seen someone who's been struggling at the plate and then takes it out on the field? He doesn't do that. I mean, he doesn't do that at all. So that's been good to see. The pitching's turning the corner. It's righting itself to where we thought it would be, because the starters were never the concern for this group. But the first few weeks of the season, you're like, well, if they're not going to be good, my God, man, they're in a real world of hurt. Bryce Miller has been fantastic. He looks phenomenal out there. It's got to be this really cool thing, I would imagine, with these starters, that they're all rowing in the same direction, right? We're all on the same team. But one would assume there's this internal competition between all of them of like who can have the best season. And they like to kind of take turns. I've always kind of carried the flag for Kirby. Others have carried it for Gilbert. There's probably a faction of you out there, the fan base, that loves Bryce Miller, but they all have this internal fire, like most players do, to be massively good and to be massive competitors. And I think there is an internal competition between those 3 guys in particular, right? Miller, Kirby, and Gilbert. And I mean, I'm going to throw Castillo in there as well. But I just think those 3 guys kind of stand out because they just kind of feel similar. And what I also like about all 3 of them too is their ability, and you saw it this week with Miller and with Kirby, right? Kirby tinkering with his slider. The ability to adjust on the fly on something and to say, how I've been throwing this certain pitch isn't working for me right now, so I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to do it on the fly. I think one, for Kirby, pause if you're listening. I'm going to take a sip of coffee for those on TV. Talks amongst yourselves. Anybody gets that reference, leave a comment below on YouTube. The ability to have the courage and the guts, I think, for a professional player in any sport to change something on the fly. I think it takes a lot of guts. I don't think there's a lot of athletes out there that are willing to do that. And I think there's probably not a lot of people in whatever you do that's willing to change a behavior or the way that you do something on the fly. But you saw that this week with Kirby, tinkered with something, talked to Gilbert about it, and then all of a sudden started throwing his slider a little bit differently and was breaking lower and just had much success with it. I love that. I love that creativity. And those three guys just kind of all kind of feel like they have that in their bag. We talked to Brad Adam yesterday about that. And Brad brought up a good point of relating it back to golf, that you see some golfers who, and he brought up Scheffler, this creativity that, hey, this particular shot isn't working for me right now. Like I'm not drawing the ball. Okay. I'm hooking it more. Well, I'm gonna try now hit a fade now, or I'm gonna open up the club face. I'm gonna do something differently, change my grip to rectify this hook that I now have when I normally hit a draw. There are some players that don't do that. Whatever sport it is, football, the way you throw the ball, or if you're a quarterback. I mean, how many quarterbacks do they change their mechanics, the arm slot, things like that? But those pitchers, those three guys, they have the courage, the ability in themselves, the belief in themselves to pull that off. They have an off day on Thursday, which is today, April 18th. Whenever you're listening to this, they're not going to play the Rockies today, off day. Then they start up a 3-game series there with the Rockies. Emerson Hancock will get the ball on Friday. Castillo will go Saturday, and George Kirby on Sunday. And then one last note that we brought up with Brad yesterday on the live Puck's Best Baseball postgame show, where the offense looks like it's coming to life a little bit. You couldn't go to two better places in the world to continue this offensive resurgence for them, so to speak, because Coors Field is a hitter's park, and then they're going to go to Texas, which, that ball should be able to fly out, and the weather's going to be better. So kind of a perfect time. Maybe they're going to get a little bit healthier, and that extension will happen. Let's switch gears here to the Seahawks. So this is a perfect, sports talk topic, because this is great, because I think there's a lot of different angles to this one. This Mike Macdonald story, cleaning house. Like literally. So he has removed all of the wallpaper and images and I know where this is at. Images walking to the locker room that were on the wall of the images of the Carroll and Schneider era, with the Beastquake run, the tip, the Super Bowl, the trophy presentation, images with Carroll and players from that era. They've removed it. This is on top of him. We're going to circle back to that in a second. This is on top of him removing the basketball hoop and the sayings around the I'm all in, I think, is what he removed as well. Let the basketball hoop for a second. I totally get that. That's not your thing. That's not your shtick. That was Carroll's shtick. He brought a basketball hoop. For those who don't know the story, he would have a basketball hoop in their main team meeting room. And before they would start their team meetings, they would have basketball competitions all the time. The media room for the press is kind of right next door to where the players go. So you could hear them all the time, hooting and hollering, having fun over there, shooting baskets. I was a great way to kind of break the monotony of team meetings and football and all that kind of stuff. I think it's to bring in different sports to kind of break it all up. I thought it was really cool by Carroll. And it was a lot of imagination and went into that. And I thought that was cool. I get that's not Mike Macdonald's thing, and it shouldn't be. If Mike Macdonald continued doing the shooting the hoops thing, it wouldn't be Mike Macdonald. That's not who he is. He's not Pete Carroll. Don't be Pete Carroll. Removing the wallpaper from the greatest team in the history of the organization and some of the best moments in the franchise organization, I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't get it one bit. I think it's stupid. I think it's a wrong move. Why do you not celebrate your past? It's not comparing this current team to that team, but your current team should walk through there and see what the standard is of Seahawks football. And the standard of Seahawks football is championships, winning a Super Bowl, getting into the playoffs, having these great moments to where if I'm Leonard Williams or Nwosu or Devin Witherspoon, I want my picture up there some point. And maybe we can get up there. I don't agree with it. I'm not going to sit there and die on this hill for it. And it's funny that those who think, oh, it's not a big deal, you guys are making it. I think this is a society thing and like a city thing and all of it. I think we do a poor job of celebrating our past in a lot of stuff, especially in sports. You should embrace your past, especially if it's successful and you won a championship. I'll say this. I'm not one of these people that rain down on the Mariners about celebrating 95. I think it's cool. And I know, but I get the other side of it. This is all we celebrate. You know, it was a playoff series win. We should be celebrating championships. I totally get it. I'll be honest with you. Every time I see the highlight, I hear the highlight, I get goosebumps and I love it. That's just me. It takes me back to that time. I love hearing it. I love seeing it. And I like celebrating it because it's part of the Mariners' past and it's cool and it's awesome. Part of the Seahawks past is the tip, which is the greatest play in Seahawks football history, what Richard Sherman did. It just is. There should be a statue outside the stadium of it. And why there is not a statue yet, I still don't understand. I mean, maybe one day it will be. Marshawn Lynch's run is the greatest run ever in Seahawks football history. The second greatest run in Seahawks football history is the other one he did in Arizona. Why would you not celebrate that? Why would you have that taken down? That's a bad move by Mike Macdonald. And it's a bad move by John Schneider to allow it to happen. Honestly. And it's a bad move by the organization to allow it to happen. I mean, I know you want him to establish his own culture. I get that. Remove the basketball hoop. Fine. The I'm all in signs. Fine. That's not his slogan. He probably has his own slogan. But removing the history of your organization from inside your building, I don't know. It's a bad move. I don't, because I would ask Mike Macdonald and his new staff, how do you think that makes your not your former players, but think about it as like college, the alumni, guys that you want, I would assume you would still want to be a part of what the history was of your organization. I like these franchises that celebrate it like it's college. The Steelers come to mind. The Yankees come to mind. The Dodgers. I think the Cowboys do a good job of this, where it's like a college atmosphere, where you celebrate the players that have played before you. Because that group of players is and will always be the standard of that organization. Always. Doug Baldwin, Russell Wilson, Cam, Sherman, I'm going to leave somebody off, Wagner, Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, all those guys. I know I'm missing. What about this guy? Earl Thomas. That's the standard. Jermaine Kearse. They're just all these names are starting to come back now. Lynch, every one of them. That should be looked up to, not torn down. As bad move. Bad move. I know there's going to be people, leave a comment in the comment section, big deal, move on. Again, it's not, no one is going down to Renton and protesting and saying, I hate Mike Macdonald, I'm not watching anymore. No one's saying that. All they're saying is, don't get it. And it's silly. I don't understand why Mike Macdonald doesn't want to celebrate the past or John Schneider, but taking down those images, it represents, the best time of Seahawks football. I want it up there. I want other pictures up there. I hope in that mural, there was Chuck Knox being carried off the field in Miami when at that point was the greatest win in Seahawks history. And I was old enough to remember that. 9 years old. I mean, getting carried off, celebrating a playoff win in which they were heavy underdogs going to the AFC Championship. I don't want that taken down. I want that to be up there because that's part of their past. Largent's hit on Mike Harden, Monday Night Football. I want that image up there. Dave Craig hitting Paul Scansey in the back of the end zone. Stuff like in Kansas City, that stuff should be celebrated, not torn down. So I think a bad move. I'd like to see it actually put back up. And I wonder if maybe at some point he will reverse that. But who knows? The draft, more important things coming up. Next week is the NFL draft. I think soon I'm going to announce something special, but I just want to put the finishing bow on it. But I think for you, we're doing something for you that I think you as I'm pointing to the camera, and you people listening don't hear it, you're going to love. At least I hope you're going to love. And it's going to be something that nobody else is going to deliver to you, only right here at pucksports.com, also on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a really cool thing. And I should have more on that coming up real soon. Draft, they got all the picks. They got a first round pick. Obviously, that 16th overall, one pick in the third round. So nothing in the second round. You feel they're going to trade down or do something to acquire another pick in the second round, or a pick in the second round. Third round pick, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the sixth, and then 1 in the seventh. Condota wrote about it on Thursday. That was in the Thursday paper. He's right. Linebacker is going to be a big deal. They need to get better up front. We'll talk to Rob Staten today, Seahawks Draft Blog, brought to you by Superior Linen Service, and Mike Garofolo, brought to you by Hartley & Hartley Insurance. Zogs on Fox Island, because Thursdays are our NFL guys. We'll have more on that later on the program here at pucksports.com. Those will be released at 1 o'clock. We'll talk heavy draft. Offensive line, defensive line, certainly a key. But as Condota wrote today, linebackers are a huge key too as well, especially on the inside. Tyrell Dotson, Jerome Baker, 2 one-year deals. Okay, they're stopgaps, but they need to find something there in that middle linebacker spot. They've never been immune to drafting linebackers. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. But they've never been immune to drafting that. But they need to find something there in the draft. They will. Outside stuff, no, you got Nwosu, you've got Mafe, you got Darrell Taylor, Derek Hall. So certainly upgrading there would be wise on the Seahawks part. But the draft coming up next week, it's going to be awesome. Hopefully they stay at 16. They don't trade down. I'd like to see them pick in the first round. It would be kind of fun. But you know how John Schneider wants to roll, what he wants to do. There's always a surprise. So I don't care what mock draft you look at. It's not going to happen. Whatever that mock draft you're looking at, and it's telling you who they're going to pick, they're not going to pick that person. Nor are they going to stay at that spot. I'll give somebody $5 right now. If you send me the guy they're going to take. $5 right now. Leave it in a comment section. I'll pay you $5 if they pick the guy that you think they're going to pick. First person in with the $5. All right? I don't have a lot of money. Okay, I'm poor. Out of work. What else do we got? Hey, quickly on the Trevor Bauer story. So we brought this up yesterday a little bit with Divish. The woman, another woman who was accused of assault by Trevor Bauer, she's now charged with defrauding him in Arizona. She sued him and accused him of rape that resulted in a pregnancy. Bauer never was arrested for it. He never was charged for it. He countersued. He acknowledged that he had one sexual encounter with her, and he accused her of faking her pregnancy. She later said that she lost the baby, but it turns out to be false. This is now the second time that he has been able to prove that a woman has falsely accused him. I think there's a couple more out there. It looks bad. He appears to be a bad teammate and all that kind of stuff. Let's take the bad teammate stuff aside and just focus on what's happening to him off the field with these women. No credible charge has come against him from any of these women. None. Now, this stinks on a couple of fronts. One, it puts women who do have legitimate claims of assault like this, it puts them at jeopardy when they come forward. This is why a lot of them don't come forward, because people then don't believe them. And then you have incidents like this with these two women who have false claims against him. It has ruined his character, because a lot of you that are listening, watching this right now, shake your head. And I'll probably hear some comments below. He's a bad person. He did these things. Well, it's turning out that he didn't do any of this stuff. None of it. And he has been banned, essentially. He has now been reinstated, by the way, but he was banned from baseball, and he's been blackballed from the sport. Now, the teammate stuff, how he is, and hard person to get along with, you could say that by probably about 50% of the players that are in Major League Baseball, maybe more. Doesn't matter. Guys don't get along with teammates all the time. You played sports. Did you get along with any one of your teammates? Did you not like some of them? Did they rub you the wrong way? Of course they did. Did you look past it and dealt with it because that player was good or helped you win? Absolutely. He's getting a raw deal here. And this is the sad thing about where we are at. We convict people right away without learning all the facts. I have been guilty of it as well, no doubt about it. And he is paying a huge price for this. Someone should bring him back and have the guts and courage to do it. I don't think anybody will, because I think people don't want to learn the truth about what happened, and they're just willing to whatever was told or insinuated a while ago. We're just going to go with that. Another big topic real quickly, the WNBA, the salary outrage. You saw this after the WNBA draft, which, by the way, had record ratings. This is on the heels of record viewership that they had. It's great for the league. This is why I don't get these other old players, the Diana Taurasi's of the world and Sue Bird, why they're so upset about this. I think they're not upset. They're just jealous of that. There's so much more attention now on the sport because she's just more likable, and there's more parity in the sport. This is why parity at times is good, is great for sports. When you have more teams involved, more players involved, and it brings the masses into it. That's more appealing to when Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird played, and there were like 2 or 3 teams, or 4. UConn, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Stanford. That's the era they grew up in. And it was boring. No one wanted to watch it. Now you've got all these teams in it and all these fabulous players. So everyone's upset because she's not making enough money. All right. Her salary is going to pay her a base salary of $76,000 a year. All right. Everyone coming out of college, you would jump at making $76,000 a year. You just would. All right. That's not what she's making, by the way. That's her WNBA salary. And also this notion she should have stayed in college because she would have made more money in NIL. No, she wouldn't have. That, first of all, she's not making like money from a collective. She didn't get paid from the Hawkeyes collective. She's getting paid with national ads. Those national ads are only going to get better when she turns professional. Now is professional. She's got endorsement deals in college that will continue in the pros and probably get better with Nike, Gatorade, Xfinity, State Farm, Buick. She's also has deals with Bose, a company called Shootaway, which is a basketball shooting machine, a Midwest grocery store called Hy-Vee. She has a deal with H&R Block, and then Panini America. I thought it was the sandwiches for a second, which, by the way, I love Panini. No, it's a trading card and memorabilia company, and she has a deal with Goldman Sachs. She's gonna do quite okay. Please do not feel bad for Caitlin Clark. All right. On3, which kind of tracks like name, image, and likeness deals, she's valued close to $4 million. It's like 3.4. And it's only going to get more. It's only going to get better. Here's the deal, and it's pretty simple. And I know it's not sexist. It's not, none of it. It's simple math, economics, capitalism. Okay. The WNBA has a revenue of $60 million. That's why their players make what they make. They play 40 games. The NBA, because everyone's, well, why aren't they making what the NBA players make? Because it's not popular like the NBA. It doesn't make money like the NBA. It's not the same. The NBA revenue is $7.4 billion. 7.4 compared to 60 million. Why would, if you ran a team, pay the players in any business the same amount of money when they don't even bring in a fraction of the revenue? A fraction of it. It's just simple. They play 82 games. They play 40. That's stop making this about wage disparity between the sexes. It has nothing to do with that. It's popularity. It's revenue. If the revenue then finally comes up for the WNBA, then pay their players more. But they pay their players the salary because the revenue's not there. It's just simple economics. It has nothing to do with disparity in salaries between the sexes. This is one of the reasons why I wanted this guy to own the Sonics, and I was heartbroken when he left the group, and Chris Hansen, and then ended up buying the Clippers. Good on Steve Ballmer. If you saw this, the last game of the year, regular season game for the Clippers, Steve Ballmer. This is what a good owner does. Ballmer's kind of crazy and wacko and all that kind of stuff, but this is what a good owner does. This is why I would love to see something like this from the Mariners. Hell, I'd love to see something like this from Jody Allen, the Kraken, all of it. The amount of goodwill that Steve Ballmer, by one simple act that cost him a fraction of his net worth. I mean, this is a throwaway for him. The amount of goodwill that Steve Ballmer acquired for himself by just doing this, infinite. So in the last game of the year for the Clippers, last home regular season game, he paid for all of the concessions for all of the fans in the last game. Like 19,000 people there. Paid for it all. It's all free. Get whatever you want. Who knows what that cost him? Do you think that whatever it cost him, let's just throw out a figure. $2 million? It's not going to, I don't know if it's even $2 million. Right. Let's just say it's $2 million. Do you think Steve Ballmer, who's worth billions, goes, oh, well, I mean, we can't write a check for $2 million. This is going to hurt us. That's what good owners do. God, I would love to see our owners in this city do something like that. I would love to see that baseball team do something like that. A fan appreciation night. You know what? Everything's on the house one time. Here you go. Boy, the amount of just a simple little gesture like that would go so far for people. It's a small thing. These owners don't get it. A Jonte Porter update. Godspeed to you, sir. I hope it was worth it. I hope your betting and acquiring $20,000 in bets was worth getting banned for life and never being able to make a living in the NBA. What an idiot. Banned for life from the NBA, wagering on, they did in fact find out he wagered on the NBA. In fact, he bet on his own team to lose, the Raptors. He owned and operated a VIP account at FanDuel in Colorado. He wagered millions between 21 and 23. What caught the NBA's attention were multiple bets on the under props for him, his stat line. And one in particular was an $80,000 bet on his over-under stat line, so points, rebounds, minutes played, and things like that, in which had he hit the under on it, this $80,000 bet, he would have collected $1.1 million. And in that game, in which caught the attention of the NBA, he took himself out less than 3 minutes, in which he went into the game claiming he had an illness. Now, before you people freak out, say this is why we can't have gambling in sports. You know who caught him? You know who was alerted to this? The NBA and the people that regulate gambling and regulate these accounts. They caught him. They froze that bet, by the way. Never paid it out. And the NBA immediately started an investigation. You know who wants this to be regulated more than anything? The gaming industry. They don't want this. It ruins their credibility. They're on it more than anyone. So before people freak out, oh, you're going to see more of this. This is going to be a problem. Yeah, guys are going to get caught, but it's not. You're not going to have these point shaving games. It's not going to happen. It's. I mean, could something slip through the cracks? Yeah, but for the most part, the checks and balances were followed here, and the gaming industry and the league caught it. So don't have this narrative now. Well, this is what you get when you're the NBA or the NFL because you're promoting all this. You're taking all their money. They caught him, and he's done. I mean, he's done. He's banned for life, and he made nothing. He made like $20,000, and he made more money playing in the G League and having that one. He had a 2-way contract with the Raptors. But hey, Nathan Hale, you won a state title at Nathan Hale, though, Jonte. Good for you, Jonte Porter. Done. In the NBA, banned for life. Good stance over the NBA. That's what you got to do. You want to nip in the bud, ban him for life. And that's exactly what they did. That should send a clear message to not all the NBA players, but all the players in all the professional sports with gambling. All right, that's it for the Daily Puck Drop every day at 10 a.m. Hashtag the DPD. You can find it at pucksports.com, also at YouTube. Of course, listen to it Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast. Please subscribe, leave a comment on all of those platforms. Coming up later on the Thursday show here at pucksports.com, our NFL Thursday show. Mike Garofalo, NFL Network, brought to you by Hartley & Hartley Insurance, also Zogs on Fox Island. News and notes, draft a week away. What are we hearing? What is he hearing? Trades, rumors, all that. And then Rob Staten, Seahawks draft blog, the best in the business, brought to you by Superior Linen Service. We'll get Rob's thoughts 1 week from the NFL draft. What is he hearing? Who does he like? Draft breakdown, all of that coming up later today at pucksports.com. Until then, We'll talk to you soon. As always, we promise to be better.
Shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!